Man to man, combat hand to hand, hands locked, ready for the last stand, elbow drops, kicks fade bang. If I can make you levitate, better settle mate, lights out, knocked out by the heavyweight.
Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today, very lucky again to have Mr. Bilal Dib, otherwise known as Billy the Kid or Billy Dib from Australia. Very famous boxer from down under, man, on the show. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Nah, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Man, I was just looking at some of your posts on Instagram, and you were looking pretty sharp there with the shadow boxing today. Getting ready for the fight?
Yeah, definitely, man. Look, I'm just grinding away, making sure that I'm leaving no stone unturned, and come March 19th, we'll be ready. Don't worry about that.
Good, man. Before we get on to that, just to anyone that's listening that doesn't know Billy very well, fought in featherweight, super featherweight, welterweight, held the IBF featherweight title and the IBO super featherweight titles, record of 55 fights, 47 wins, 27 KOs, had more than 100 amateur fights. I think it was listed as 113 in something I read. Very experienced gentleman.
Yeah, man, it's been a long journey.
That's it, man. So jumping onto that March 19 fight, they're obviously preparing for, you're facing Jacob for the IBF international title and the WBO Oriental Lightweight Championship at Jupiter's Casino on the Gold Coast. How's the prep going, man?
Yeah, man, look, like as I said to you, I've left no stone unturned, and I've just been working extremely hard and making sure that I do everything I can to secure the victory. And that's what it is, man. It's just exciting times, and as I said, it's a great opportunity for me to find myself back in the world ratings and on the cusp of another big opportunity.
Man, so this guy's a young whippersnapper, right? 27 years old. He's 15 wins, 15 fights, 11 KOs, man. What do you see as his sort of strengths, man?
Look, I think Jacob is a pretty good pressure fighter. Puts a lot of pressure. I don't think he uses his attributes, which is he's got long reach and stuff, but he doesn't really use it. But look, kid's a good scrapper. He really has a big heart, and every time that he's been knocked down, he's got back up and really given a good dig, and always managed to get the win. So you can't fault him. 15-0, 11 knockouts. He's unblemished. So you can't fault the kid. There's no blueprint on how to beat him, but he's coming up against a crafty fighter in myself. Even though I'm 36 years of age, I still feel good, still young. I still feel young. I still feel healthy, and I've still got a lot to give to the sport of boxing.
And man, when we compare stats, obviously other than the age, you're well ahead as far as experience goes. The only thing I can see is he's got a bit of height and reach advantage on you, which kind of combine together in a way to have that little bit of reach. How would you get around that, man?
Just the same way that I got around it in the amateurs, and then any other fight that I've had. I fought Zolani Morali, who was 6 foot. In the amateurs, I fought tall guys. I fought I think his name was I don't know, I forgot his name, but look, I fought James Ronaldson was his name. I fought him 5 times in the amateurs, and he was like this much taller than me. Like so much higher, and I always made it work. And most recently, I would say the win against the late Davey Brown, who was as well just shy of 6 foot, and I managed to for me, height doesn't matter. I don't care. It's not an issue for me. The height and the reach it's all good. I find a way to get in, and I'm crafty like that. So I do what I got to do.
Man, and another question I have is, like, when you're coming up, I'm assuming you train boxing and only boxing. Whereas you look at Jacob, his history, he's got Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, blue belt. He's fought Muay Thai. He's mixing it up. He's probably maybe even thinking about MMA. I'm not sure in the future, but he's mixing it up. What do you reckon is better? Is it better to focus on one of those sports than to mix it up? What are your feelings?
Well, for me, I guess he's just an all-rounder, isn't he? Because he does dabble in some other sports, which is really cool. Obviously, them sports are not for me. Kickboxing, UFC, Muay Thai, it's really not for me. But I guess the thing is that when we get in the ring, the only thing that can help him are his fists. So he can't kick me, and if he does, he's going to get disqualified. And if he grapples me, then that's going to get him disqualified as well. So he's only going to be able to use the tools of boxing, which is the fist. So I don't see how. Obviously the grappling side of things could help him in the clinches and stuff like that. But the referee will know how to keep the fight clean, and I'm not really concerned about all that. I just worry about him coming in and doing the job that he can. Obviously, he's preparing the best that he can. It's a big opportunity for him because if he puts me on his resume, then he's put a former champion on his resume. So that's a great achievement for him. But for me, it's just like I just got to go out there and do what I got to do. So just go out there, be smart, box hard, box fast, and just try to do the best I can.
That's it, man. And just looking back again at some of your posts, last year, July 2021 was a 10-year anniversary of when you beat Jorge, I don't know how you say, La Cierva for the IBF.
Jorge La Cierva.
Jorge La Cierva for the IBF welterweight world boxing title, putting yourself along the greats of Australia that had achieved featherweight world titles, Famachon and Jeff Fenech, man. So what was that feeling like 10 years on, man? It seems like the time probably went fast, right?
Wow, man, time has flown. But like, to be honest with you, man, it's like when I think back, I look back and I say, wow, to even be mentioned in the same sentence as Jeff Fenech and Johnny Famachon. And just to correct you, it was for the featherweight world title, not the welterweight one. So it was the IBF featherweight world title. Yeah. And to be mentioned in the same sentence as Jeff Fenech and Johnny Famachon, just amazing, And I guess, when I was a kid, my dream was to become world champion. And, the fact that I've done that twice over is just it's just amazing. So I'm really proud, and I'm so glad that I, got the chance to make my family so proud, my father so proud. And, the journey ain't over. Obviously, a win over Jacob NG, and it opens the doors for something special. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
That's it, man. And looking at your record again, you have been pretty active all the way through from 2004 all the way through to kind of 2019. Then there was a stop in 2020 where was that because of COVID that there was just no availability to fight at that time, or what?
Yeah, look, when I Tevin Farmer, I sort of called it a day for a little while, and then I just decided that retirement wasn't for me, and I still wasn't done. I was still, as Rocky would say, something in the engine or something in the belly. There was fire in the belly. So I got back into it, and then I had a comeback fight, and then the following fight I found myself in the ring against Amir Khan at welterweight, which is a big step up in weight. But I've tried to remain active throughout after that, but it's just been so hard with the COVID situation. You just can't get any fights, can't get a fight, can't promote any events. Just like COVID just made something like that was so beautiful, so difficult to deal with. So boxing became really hard. Obviously dealing with the COVID situation, and you can't put shows on because the police want to get involved, and they're shutting venues down, and just so hard.
Yeah, man, not so good for all the fighting sports, man. And looking again at your resume, you've been all around the world, man. You've fought in Australia, England, USA, Macau, Japan, Thailand, Saudi Arabia. What is it like doing the travel? You like to be in Australia, or you like to get around the world and fight?
No, man, I'm a traveler, man. I've been traveling since I was a kid. I grew up through the Australian boxing system and living at the Australian Institute of Sport. I traveled to over 30 different countries. So, traveling for me is no big deal. I love getting away, and I love fighting in front of the big crowds and, in the big venues. So, throughout my time in America, I fought at Madison Square Garden, MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, you name it, I fought there. So I'm just so proud of the achievements that I've had. And, the fact that I've been able to travel the world, to showcase my craft has just been amazing. I love it.
That's awesome, man. And jumping back into that, man, like a long time ago, you grew up in Engadine. How did you kick off with the boxing, man? I heard you mention that you faced some bullying. How did that go about? What was the actual thing that was happening?
Well, the thing was, look, man, I grew up in an area called Engadine, which was a predominantly Anglo-Saxon area. And, my skin color was like brown, black hair, brown eyes. So I didn't really fit in too well, nor me, nor my brothers. So, we constantly got into fights, and we're getting bullied. And, eventually just found boxing, through a sheer accident. It wasn't something that I planned to do, but I guess destiny found me. As soon as I put them gloves on, it's like I just fell in love with the sport of boxing and never looked back.
Where did you kick off, man? Was it a PCYC or what?
I did. I kicked off at the Sutherland PCYC in Sutherland. Yeah, mate. From that moment, I just was full steam ahead, never looked back.
Yeah, it's funny. Actually, a lot of the successful people in fighting sports, man, as soon as they start, it's like they just picked up something, like you said, it's a destiny, and they just can't stop going there and learning and getting better, man. It's a common thing amongst you guys.
That's exactly what happened to me, man. I just once I laced the gloves on, I just felt this is for me. And I, as I said, I never looked back, and I just, wanted to know everything about boxing. I used to buy the boxing magazines. Back in the days, we had Fist Boxing magazine, we had the World of Boxing magazine in Australia. I used to read about all the fighters, and I started buying Muhammad Ali books, Mike Tyson books, Prince Naseem Hamed books. I just wanted to know about all the fighters and different styles, and I just wanted to try to mesh something to create me as a fighter.
What age did you actually start, man?
I started boxing at the age of 12. So at the time when I started boxing at 12, boxing was illegal in Australia for anyone who was under the age of 14. So me being the cheeky kid that I was, I changed my birth certificate from 12 to 14 years of age just so I could mix it up with everybody.
Man, you actually mentioned in an interview that from as soon as you started, you had a vision then, because you said at 12 you had a vision and knew what it would take, that it'd take hard work and sacrifice and dedication to get to that goal, man. So it's cool that you had that goal straight off, right?
Yeah, look, man, the thing is, man, I just felt like boxing was for me. It was an instant love, and I was willing to do whatever it took to get there. I believe that, with self-belief and, and focus, anything is possible, so I always, my whole thing, my whole motto is that, if you believe, you'll achieve. And I really believed in myself.
That's it, man. And when did Billy Hussein make his way into your world, man, as far as a coach goes?
Well, basically, Billy Hussein is somebody that's been involved in my sort of childhood from a young age. The first time that I ever went to another gym as well was at Billy Hussein's gym. And, we had a pretty decent connection as a young boy. I was very, you could say it's cocky and arrogant and flamboyant. And, they didn't really like that too much. People didn't like that too much. But I was doing really well with my childhood trainer, Harry Hamoud. We were 17-0 as a pro, and as an amateur record, we had 113 amateur fights, 98 wins, 15 losses. And then, unfortunately, Harry got a little sick, and I had to sort of move on. And that's how I connected with Billy Hussein. I just contacted him through his brother Hussein, and asked him if he'd be interested in working with me, and pretty much got the ball rolling in 2008, and we haven't looked back ever since.
That's awesome, man. Actually, I actually trained a little bit with Billy back in Bankstown, PCYC, when he'd pop in there, man, a while back. You wouldn't know me. I was just a casual popping in to have a hit.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever walked into Billy Hussein's gym was Bankstown PC. Actually, no, it was Belmore PCYC, and then the first fight that I ever had as an amateur was at the Bankstown PCYC.
Awesome. I lived there for a while, man. Yeah, man. And Prince Naseem was also someone I used to follow a lot when I'm a young man. Amazing fighter, man. What was he? Why was he an idol for you, man?
Well, he was my childhood hero for the fact that he came from an Arab descent. I come from an Arab descent myself. My mother's Palestinian, my father's Lebanese. Obviously, Naseem is Yemeni. But we come from an Arab descent. We speak the same language. And, he was just lighting up the boxing world. He was just a phenom. And I loved his style and his flair. And I just wanted to just be exactly like him. So sort of followed in his footsteps. And, it's crazy because in 1997, he beat Tom Boom Boom Johnson for the IBF featherweight world title. And then you look down the journey in 2011, Billy did beat Jorge Lasieva for the same world title at featherweight. So it was sort of a dream come true to be even, again, like I said, mentioned in the same sentence of these guys, because these guys were just phenomenal fighters, and I'm grateful that I could, become world champion, and I worked extremely hard for it. But look, they were on another level, and I'm happy to admit that, you know what I mean? So, but I just feel like the fact that Nas and I became so close, and he was such a mentor to me. I just absolutely love him for that, and for helping motivate me to become champion of the world.
Man, yeah, you love Prince Naseem, but you never really did the same style as him, man. Did you take any of his sort of style and adapt it to yours?
No, man. Believe me, I did a lot of what he did. You didn't see my earlier fights, man. And in the earlier career, I really tried to mimic everything he did. In the amateurs, I did it like to a T. You know what I mean? I can send you some footage of that, of me doing it as an amateur. But even in the pros, man, like when I fought in America, the thing about Sugar Shane Mosley and that was when Sugar Shane signed me up to Golden Boy, he actually called Oscar and was like, "Listen, I got the next Prince Naseem Hamed in the gym." You know what I mean? So I can assure you, I was definitely doing a lot of what he was doing, when I was coming up, man. But I guess I just toned it down a lot after I lost my first world title fight. I lost the WBO world title fight against Stephen Levino. I toned it down. I brought it right back. I tried to humble myself and just really box smart and, not do anything stupid anymore. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna have to go back and have a look at some of your amateurs, man, because that'd be interesting.
Yeah. I'll send you some footage, man, because I really used to mimic the lunging uppercut and everything like that. So it was all happening for me as an amateur, man.
That's awesome, man. Hey, so you've had a lot of like obvious success in your life. You've had a lot of good things. You've also had difficult times. You've had loss of family. You've lost titles. How did you deal with all that, man? Like as a boxer, how did you deal with that and then keep going and keep continuing to have a career, man?
Oh man, it's just what, at the end of the day, I just look at it like there was really not much I could do. I know you're talking about when my wife passed away, and it's just like basically, what do? Do you just throw the towel in and give up on life? But I just decided to just get back on the horse and just really try to better myself as a person. Learn from my mistakes. Really, I learned a lot from Sarah's death. Even though it was really hard, it was quite torturous at times, but yeah, it's just something that you just got to learn to live with and deal with. And I've done that. Like, I'm just thankful that God's allowed me to get remarried and find a beautiful wife. And, I've got a beautiful son now. So, like, I'm just really, really blessed. You know what I mean?
Man, like I heard you talking about how originally in your life, you had a lot of focus on winning the belt and you felt like that would bring you happiness. And then you started to see the money that might be available. You started to think about that, but now or in the future, you became more focused on your faith, and obviously you're very happy with your son in your life and your new wife. Can you talk about that, the journey and where you're at now? Like, where are you sitting right now? What do you focus on in life?
Yeah, like I said to you, man, when I was coming up, I used to think that the happiness came through a title. I used to say, if I win a world title, that's going to give me a lifetime of happiness. But I've quickly learned that that's not the case, because winning the titles, although it made me very, very happy, it actually it brought me a lot of heartache, because when you win titles, you start expecting a lot of money and you want bigger purses. And when I was coming up, I never expected that. I just did it for the love of the sport. It wasn't about the money, you know what I mean? And then obviously when I won my first world title, and then I started wanting bigger paydays, and then you start arguing with promoters about what they're paying you and all those sort of things. But like my focus now, man, is like, even now I'm still fighting, and even though the money's good and I'm glad and I'm blessed, but everything I do now is just for my wife and my son. Everything I do now is about setting up my son and making sure that he's in the right position, that when I leave the sport of boxing, or if I leave this world, that my son will be comfortable. That's my biggest thing right now, is that I don't care about anything else besides just making sure that I'm a provider for my wife and my son. And obviously I try to do the right thing by looking after my parents as well. But you can't save the world, and I've learned that. I'm learning slowly that you can't save the world, and that you just got to really think about those who are around you, who you want to. I just like I said, mate, the most important thing for me is my son and my wife, and everything that I'm doing today is for them.
Yeah, man, it's good to hear about your family, man. I saw your lead up to one of the fights where you had a family prayer before fighting with the group, with your father leading it.
Yeah.
And your brother's also a boxer, man. Can you talk about that, like the strength of your family sort of bond?
Yeah, man. So me and my younger brother, we're really cool, bro. We just chill out all the time, you know what I mean? And we've been coeys ever since we were kids, you know what I mean? And so, even though he's a little bit younger than me, he's on the journey of boxing success as well. He's still undefeated himself. He's 15-0 at the moment, and he's on the cusp of doing some good things in boxing. And we're going to support him and give him all the support that he needs to get to that next level. You know what I mean? Obviously, we'll do whatever we can to get him there, but it's going to be up to him to deliver on the goods.
Of course, no one can do it but you once you're up in the bright lights by yourself in the ring with your opponent, right?
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Now, man, could you talk a bit on what it takes to be a champion, man? You mentioned consistency played a role in your success.
Yeah,
what do you say people need to do to be able to successful in a combat sport like boxing?
It's very, very simple, man. Very simple. It's a formula. To me, it's a formula. And obviously, for somebody to walk into a boxing gym with the intentions of wanting to fight, that's a vision, right? But a vision with no consistency is just a vision. And it's going to evaporate. The vision will evaporate, and you'll get over it, and you'll move on to the next thing. But a vision with consistency leads to success. So if you have a vision to be an athlete, you have a vision to be a lawyer, you have a vision to be a school teacher, a doctor, whatever it is that you want to do in your life. If you have a vision, you there, brother?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Can you still see me?
I can't see you, but I can hear.
Hold on a second. Sorry, I don't know what's happened. There you go. So, as I was saying, a vision without consistency is just a vision, but a vision with consistency leads to success. And the success that you have all depends on how focused you are and how much you're willing to put in. So it's very simple. The formula is so simple: vision, consistency, success. And the amount of success that you have is only going to be, it's only going to come to come down to how much you're willing to put in to become a success. And as you've seen, a lot of fighters in the world of boxing have really dedicated their heart and soul and their life to the sport of boxing. And some have walked away with nothing, and some have walked away with millions and millions of dollars and riches and houses and cars and everything. So, sometimes the sport of boxing doesn't give you everything that you want. And it all depends on what it is that you want from the sport of boxing, or what it is that you want from the sport that you're involved in, or the job that you're doing. If you want to be the best at whatever it is that you're doing, you just need to be consistent in your approach.
Yeah, man. I think sometimes people get confused about talent, man. It's not, talent isn't always necessary. There's a certain degree of talent's necessary, but the main thing is, like you said, is discipline, consistency, and going. It's something that keeps coming up over and over again lately when I talk to these high-level coaches and fighters, man, it's about that consistency. A guy that comes in the gym with talent will probably leave tomorrow, but someone that comes in the gym with consistency and they could keep coming every time, they're the ones that are actually going to achieve something. And like you said, it comes across to everything right in life.
Exactly, man. Look, it's like, listen, skills can get you so far, but if you haven't got the dedication and the drive and the commitment, you ain't getting nowhere, man. That's just as simple as that. You might win a few fights, but when you come up with somebody who's got the determination, he ain't got that much skill, but he's got the determination and the will, and he's worked extremely hard, it's going to be a tough night for you in the office.
That's it, man. Hey, on the notion of training, man, could you give us a little insight into how you're training at the moment in the lead up to a fight? How would you set your week, and what sort of elements do you train?
Like, obviously I box 5 days a week without fail. So boxing is every day in the morning without fail. I also mix in running, a lot of running, a lot of sprint work, a lot of swimming, and a lot of strength and conditioning work. So I do the strength and conditioning, I do the running, I do the weights, I do the swimming, I do the boxing, I do the sparring, all that stuff. So it's just like a mix of things, you know what I mean? But more than likely, I box 5 days a week, Monday through to Friday. I run maybe 3 days a week, and I do sprint training twice a week. I do swimming once a week. I do strength conditioning twice a week. So it's a pretty full-on schedule, man.
And when you say boxing, man, does that mean you're doing pad work, bag work, sparring, all broken up?
Pad work, bag work, sparring, all that. Yep, all that good stuff.
And who does the strength and conditioning with you, man?
So I work with my uncle, Angelo Sarandopoulos. He's my strength and conditioning trainer. He does all my running drills as well, and he does all my sprint training, and he does also my swimming. So it's in-house. It's definitely in-house.
That's it, man. And so many changes and more science into fighting arts now, especially when it comes to weight cutting and that, man. Do you have a nutritionalist that you deal with to try?
I've worked with a few nutritionists in the past, so I sort of know what I'm doing now. But I'm on point. I mean, I'm definitely on point when it comes to that. I'm very professional in my approach. Always eating the right food, make sure that I'm getting the right supplementation in, and leaving no stone unturned. Cutting no corners, drinking the water every day. So my diet is heavily consistent of water. So I drink 3 liters of water a day without fail, which is definitely keeping me hydrated and making sure that I'm performing at optimal level.
Has it changed your training much over the years? I mean, you've been in it for so long. Has the training changed too much during that time?
So as I said, look, with age, you get smarter. As a young kid, I used to train the house down, and that's not saying that I don't train the house down now. I do train the house down, but before I used to train hard, now I train smart. And I've made adjustments. Because I'm 36 years of age now. What I could do at 20, I can't do today. I'm a realist, but I've made the right adjustments. And I brought in the right coaches to make sure that I do everything correctly. And that's what's helping me still excel at this age of 36. That's
it, man. And another question, man, I usually ask most fighters this one, but it's a good one for people to see. Like, how do you think, man? Like psychology, how do you deal with it, man? Like you're coming out to fight example now, even you fought bigger guys, but let's just say now you come out to fight an undefeated fighter, stepping up in front of everyone. Everyone knows your experience, that your friends and family are expecting you to take this one out over a less experienced guy. How do you deal with that in your brain? Like, how do you do it?
Oh, look, man, I try not to think too much about that. I just think about, I try to put him on a pedestal. I always put my opponents on a pedestal. I always try to think like I'm coming up against King Kong, and I'm coming up against the best version of Jacob NG. And I'm coming up against a guy who's, undefeated and extremely talented and, has got the will to win and the drive. And I leave no stone unturned, you know what I mean? So, like, for me, even though I'm fighting Jacob NG, I'm looking at him like I'm fighting Lemachenko, you know what I mean? I'm not taking him lightly at all. And I do that with all of my opponents. I always think like this, boxing for me is one punch and 10 seconds away from disaster. And so I've never underestimated anybody. I've given, whether I fought a guy who had 5 wins and 20 losses, didn't matter. I trained the same way that I was training for a world champion because, as I said to you, boxing is one punch and 10 seconds away from disaster, and I don't want to be on the end of that. I've been there before, you know what I mean? I've won fights, I've lost fights, so I know the feeling. I know the feeling of winning, I know the feeling of losing, but one thing that I can definitely tell you is that I've always worked extremely hard in the lead up to fights, and I've never taken my foot off the pedal. I've always focused on the guy that was at hand, and I don't underestimate anybody, and that's how I still continue to achieve, because every fighter deserves that respect. You know what I mean? Especially when they're getting in the ring and they're putting their life on the line. So he's doing the same thing that I'm doing. He's working extremely hard, and I'm sure he really wants to win, and I really want to win, and we'll just see what happens on that night.
Yeah, man, quite a few of the fighters I talk to say exactly what you're saying as well, that, the strength is in preparation. So as you mentioned, don't leave any stones unturned, work as hard as you can, and you'll have that strong psychology going into the fight, right?
Definitely.
That's it, man. I wanted to just ask you your opinion on a couple of the fighters around, man, from Australia. George Kambosos Jr.'s fight. What do you think of that? How do you feel about him, man?
Man, you just got to give him credit, brother. Honestly, that's credit where credit is due, and he fought extremely well. And mate, to beat Teofimo Lopez was a major upset. And I can tell you now, 99.95% of the world thought that Teofimo was going to get him out of there, but George believed in himself. Again, he just worked extremely hard, left no stone unturned. And whether Teofimo was half done or half undone or whatever he wants to say he was, he got in the ring that day, and he had the choice to pull the pin, but obviously, due to circumstances, he didn't, and George got the job done. And now the hardest thing for George is, as he's been posting, the hunter has now become the hunted. So he's got to now face the likes of Devin Haney, the likes of Lemachenko, the Javante Davises, and it's whether he can still beat these guys or not, I don't know. But mate, history's written, and he's now a unified champion of the world, and good on him, mate, because that's what it's all about.
He's in a good bargaining position too, right?
Definitely.
That's it. Hey, man, I saw some pictures of you with Anthony Mundine, kind of controversial figure in boxing and Australian sport, man. What are your feelings on Anthony?
Me and Anthony are really close friends, man. So, Anthony's been somebody who was an inspiration to me when I was coming up as well. Chuck really helped me out a lot when I was a kid, and, supported me throughout my career, and I've supported him throughout his. And yeah, man, he's just family. He's family to me.
That's it, man. It's funny. I ran into him once on the street, and all you see in the media and as this brash sort of guy, but I ran into him once, and he's just such a softly spoken, nice guy, man. And I know people that have sparred with him a lot, and they say the same thing. He's the top guy. So it's a shame he gets that negative press, right?
He's definitely an amazing guy, man. Definitely an amazing guy. I've got a big heart, you know what I mean?
That's it, man. And what about Tim Tszyu, man of the hour?
Again, another great talent in Australian boxing. He's carrying the sport of boxing right now in Australia, and he's putting us on the map. But, obviously he's got great pedigree. He's very patient as a fighter, got good strength. And I just look forward to seeing him just develop, man. He's just such a nice guy as well. And I really wish him all the very best. Him and his brother Nikita, I'm sure they're going to do some great things in the sport of boxing.
That's it, man. All right, Billy. That's wrapping it up, man. I've got one quote that I found on something that was related to you, and it's a very nice quote, so I just want to mention it. It said, "Boxing is a kind of magic. It gives discipline to the wild, strength to the weak, confidence to the shy." I think that kind of speaks for all combat sports, to be honest. That it helps people build themselves and be better people. And to be honest, mate, you sound like a very good person, and it was really great to talk to you. Thanks for your time, eh?
No, thank you very much. And to all the fans out there and that, I just want to say thank you so much for the continuous support. Without you guys, I'm nothing. And I really, really mean that. You know, without the love and the support of the fans, I am really nothing, because of you guys, I am where I am today. And I want to say thank you for that. And I pray that God continues to bless each and every one of you. And love to you all. God bless.
Awesome, man. So best of luck on March 19th, facing Jacob for the IBF international title and WO Oriental Lightweight Championships at Jupiter's. Best of luck in the future for you. Best of luck future for your family, your brother, boxing and everything. And I hope I can talk to you again someday.
Thank you, brother. God bless you, man. Thank you.
Bless, man. Bye-bye.